The morning sun filtered through the rain-streaked window, casting a soft light over Tom's small apartment. The storm from last night had passed, leaving the streets wet and glistening. Lily was already awake, sitting at the kitchen table with a bowl of cereal. Her eyes were bright and she seemed almost unusually cheerful. Tom yawned and stretched, rubbing his tired eyes. Mira was still asleep on the small cot in the corner. He watched her for a moment, noticing the gentle rise and fall of her breathing. Despite her alien appearance, there was a calmness in her presence that seemed to settle the apartment, making the air feel lighter. "Morning, Daddy," Lily said, grinning as she poured cereal into her bowl. "I think Mira is magic," Tom chuckled softly. "Magic, huh? That's a strong word for a visitor." Lily tilted her head, her eyes wide. "No, really. Things feel different, better." Tom raised an eyebrow, curious despite himself. He had noticed small changes too. Last night, the apartment had felt warmer than usual, almost like the cold from the storm had been kept outside by some invisible barrier. The plants on the windowsill, which usually drooped a little, looked perkier, as if they had been watered and cared for in the night. Mira stirred on her cot and slowly opened her glowing blue-green eyes. She looked at Lily, then at Tom, and smiled softly. "Good morning," she said gently, her voice echoing in Tom's mind as it had last night. "I hope your sleep was peaceful." Lily bounced from her chair. "It was the best sleep ever." "Did you do that?" Mira shook her head slightly. "No, I only rested. Your own hearts and minds made the night peaceful. I merely shared it with you." Tom was still trying to process her words. He had never met anyone or anything like Mira. There was something about her that seemed to enhance the small joys of life, making ordinary things feel extraordinary. After breakfast, Tom left for work. Mira had offered to help, but he shook his head gently. "You don't need to worry about that. I have to go earn money." Mira nodded, understanding. "I will wait and observe. It is fascinating to see your world in action." Tom glanced back at her, a little embarrassed by the way she phrased it. Fascinating. Humans were messy, tired, and often foolish. Yet Mira's words made him pause. Perhaps there was something special about the human way of living that he had never appreciated before. By mid-morning, Mira had begun moving quietly around the apartment. She adjusted small things with care, fixing a leaky faucet, straightening shelves, and arranging the plants on the windowsill. Her touch was gentle, precise, almost as if she understood the life force of each object she handled. Lily watched her from the sofa, fascinated. "Tom," she whispered when he came home for lunch. "Mira fixed the faucet, and the plants look so happy. It's like they woke up." Tom looked and felt a twinge of surprise. The faucet did indeed seem smoother, and the plants appeared greener than usual. "How did she do that?" he asked quietly. Lily shrugged. "I don't know, Daddy. She's just special." Mira smiled when she noticed them watching her. "I only help where I can. Humans have great power in small acts. You care for these things. That is what makes them thrive." Tom nodded slowly. He didn't understand how she did it, but her words carried a truth he couldn't ignore. Perhaps humans had abilities that Mira could see in ways they themselves overlooked. Over the next few days, Mira became part of their small routine. She cooked simple meals with Tom, using ingredients in ways that brought out flavors he had never noticed before. She played quietly with Lily, teaching her simple games that seemed ordinary but had the effect of improving her focus and patience. One afternoon, Tom returned home early from work. The apartment smelled of fresh bread, and Lily was sitting at the table laughing softly at something Mira was showing her. Tom paused in the doorway watching them. Mira had a small crystal in her hand which emitted a soft glow. She touched it to a plant and it seemed to straighten and grow a little before their eyes. "What is that?" Tom asked, a mixture of amazement and suspicion in his voice. Mira looked up at him, her expression calm. "It is a simple tool. Nothing more. It helps life flourish, but it is your care, your attention, that truly makes it grow." Tom shook his head, half in disbelief. "I don't know what to say. This is incredible." Mira simply smiled. "You do not need to say anything. Your world is fascinating because of your hearts. Humans nurture not just plants but each other. That is what I wish to understand." Lily jumped up and hugged Mira's leg. "You make everything better. Even Daddy looks happier." Tom felt a warmth in his chest. He had been so focused on surviving, on paying bills and keeping food on the table, that he often forgot the small joys of life. Mira's presence reminded him that even ordinary moments could be extraordinary, if seen with care and attention. In the following days, Mira began to share stories of her home world. She described cities that floated in the air, forests that glowed with colors humans could not see, and oceans that sang with voices of their own. Lily listened with rapt attention, asking question after question. Tom, too, found himself drawn into her tales. He could almost feel the strange beauty of the places she described, and it made him see Earth in a new light. "You have so many worlds," Lily said one evening, her eyes shining. "Do you like ours?" Mira looked at her, thoughtful. "Your world is small, but it is alive. The struggles you face, the love you give, the care you show, these things are rare. You humans have a strength that is quiet but powerful. I admire it." Tom felt a lump in his throat. No one had ever praised humans in this way before. Mira's words made him feel proud, not for himself, but for the species he often felt powerless as part of. Somehow this alien visitor saw greatness in ordinary people. One night, as Tom sat on the sofa after a long day, Mira approached him. "I have observed many things," she said softly, "but what strikes me most is your resilience. You are tired, yet you continue. You worry, yet you love. This is remarkable." Tom looked at her, unsure what to say. "I don't feel remarkable," he admitted. "I just do what I have to do." Mira shook her head gently. "That is what makes it remarkable. Humans often do not see the strength in their daily actions. Yet I see it, and it inspires me." Tom swallowed hard. Her words were sincere, and somehow they gave him strength he had not felt in months. For the first time, he felt that his small efforts, his daily struggles, were seen and valued. In the days that followed, small changes began to appear around the apartment. The light seemed brighter, the air cleaner. Lily's schoolwork improved subtly, her confidence growing with each day. Tom noticed that even his co-workers treated him with a little more respect, though he could not explain why. Mira, ever quiet and observant, did not take credit. She only smiled softly when she noticed the results of her subtle influence. Tom began to understand that Mira was more than just a visitor. She was a mirror, showing him the value of human effort, care, and resilience. Her presence highlighted what he had always known deep down, that even ordinary humans had extraordinary potential. One evening, as the sun set in shades of gold and pink, Mira and Lily were sitting on the sofa, sharing stories. Tom sat nearby, sipping tea, feeling a sense of calm he had not experienced in a long time. "Daddy," Lily whispered, "I think Mira came here for a reason. I think she wanted us to see how special humans can be." Tom looked at Mira, who was gazing out the window, her eyes reflecting the sunset. "Perhaps," she said quietly. "I came to learn and I came to rest. But I have found that your world is full of things I did not expect. Simple acts of care, kindness, and perseverance. These are treasures." Tom smiled, feeling a deep sense of connection not just to Mira, but to his own life. The storm that had seemed so harsh just days ago felt distant. In its place was a quiet joy, a sense of wonder at the ordinary things he often overlooked. As the night approached, Tom realized that Mira's stay was changing more than just the apartment. It was changing him, Lily, and the way he saw the world. The presence of this elderly alien had brought light into the small, sometimes lonely life they led, and in that quiet moment, with the glow of the sunset fading and the stars beginning to appear in the sky, Tom understood that life could hold unexpected wonders, even in the most ordinary places. Tom's small apartment felt quieter than usual that evening. The rain poured hard against the windows, tapping a rhythm that made the room feel colder. He glanced over at his daughter Lily, who was curled up on the sofa with a book, her small face glowing from the soft light of the reading lamp. She had been unusually quiet all day, probably tired from school and the long walk back in the rain. Tom sighed and ran a hand through his hair. Being a single father was harder than he had imagined. The job at the factory kept him busy for long hours, and the bills seemed to multiply faster than he could pay them. Yet, despite the exhaustion, he always tried to give Lily a stable home. Tonight, like every night, he was juggling tiredness, worry, and the constant need to make sure his daughter felt safe. The apartment was small, barely enough space for the two of them, but Tom had worked hard to keep it neat. The living room smelled faintly of damp clothes he hadn't managed to dry properly, and the lingering aroma of dinner, now cold on the table. He glanced at the clock. Nearly 10. Lily should be asleep by now, but she loved reading late. A sudden sharp knock at the door made Tom jump. He frowned. Who could it be at this hour? Rain was pouring in sheets and most neighbors had already settled in for the night. "Hello?" he called cautiously. "Who's there?" There was no reply, only the sound of rain and the soft tapping of something that did not quite sound human. Tom hesitated for a moment, then decided to open the door. Standing there was a figure unlike anything he had ever seen. Short, slightly hunched, with silver-white hair that glowed faintly even in the dim hallway light. Her skin shimmered in soft shades of blue and green, as if the rain reflected in her very being. Her eyes were large, gentle, and intelligent, holding a depth that seemed almost impossible for a creature so small and frail-looking. She wore simple robes that flowed as if they had a life of their own, and her hands were delicate but seemed surprisingly strong. Tom blinked, unsure whether he was seeing a hallucination brought on by his fatigue. Hello? Can I help you?" he asked cautiously. The figure raised a hand in a soft, polite gesture. "I am Mira," she said in a voice that seemed to echo inside his mind more than in the air. "I am far from home. I need shelter for the night. Will you let me stay?" Tom froze. Mira's words were not spoken aloud, but somehow entered his mind, calm and clear. It took a moment for him to realize she was communicating telepathically. His mind raced. Was this some kind of prank? A dream? Or something else entirely? Lily, curious and fearless at heart, had moved closer to the door. She peered up at Mira and whispered, "Daddy, she looks nice." Tom looked down at his daughter. Her innocence always reminded him to act kindly, even when life was complicated. He hesitated, unsure if letting a stranger in was wise, but the rain poured harder, and Mira shivered slightly, her glowing skin flickering in the stormy light. "All right," he said finally, stepping aside. "You can come in just for tonight, but please don't touch anything until you've dried off." Mira's large eyes blinked, and for a moment, Tom thought he saw a smile there. "Thank you," she said, her voice gentle and filled with warmth. Inside, Mira's presence seemed to calm the apartment. The air felt lighter, as if she brought a small part of her world with her. Lily's eyes were wide with fascination as Mira walked slowly into the living room, her robes brushing softly against the floor. She seemed to notice every small detail, yet she moved with care, as if the apartment itself were precious. "I have walked a long distance," Mira said quietly. "I am not like humans. I do not need much food, but I feel tired from travel." Tom nodded. "You can sit by the heater. Lily, go make her a towel, please." Lily scampered off, eager to help. She returned quickly with a towel, handing it to Mira, who accepted it with delicate, careful hands. Tom watched as Mira dried herself slowly, almost as if savoring each movement. He noticed the way she looked at the furniture, the walls, even the small plants he had nurtured. Her eyes seemed to appreciate everything in a way humans often forgot to do. "Your daughter is remarkable," Mira said softly, her voice again entering Tom's mind. He glanced at Lily, who was now leaning on the sofa with a curious expression. Tom smiled faintly, pride and a touch of surprise warming his chest. "Thanks. She's my world. I do my best." Mira nodded, almost thoughtfully. "I see strength in humans. You are resilient." Tom felt a strange warmth at her words. No one had ever said that to him like that before, not in years. It was easy to get lost in the struggles of daily life, to feel invisible in the rush of the world. Yet Mira's words made him feel seen. Dinner was over and cleaned up, but Tom found himself standing in the kitchen, listening as Mira spoke quietly. She told stories of her travels, of planets with skies of many colors and forests that sang in the wind. Lily sat close, mesmerized. "Tom, despite his tiredness, found himself drawn in as well. "You have traveled far, Mira," Tom said. Do you live alone?" "Yes," she said simply. "I have companions, but they are not here. I journey alone sometimes to learn about other worlds." Tom nodded slowly, unsure of what to say. Learning about other worlds sounded incredible, almost impossible, yet here she was, in his apartment, in the rain. Night deepened, and the storm outside continued unabated. Tom showed Mira where she could sleep, a small cot he had set up for emergencies. She looked at it curiously, then settled in, folding herself with care. Her glow dimmed slightly as she relaxed. Lily, though curious, felt safe. She climbed into her bed nearby, whispering, "Good night, Mira." Mira's telepathic voice returned softly. "Good night, little one. Sleep well." Tom stayed awake a little longer, watching the rain streak the window. Mira's presence was strange, yes, but it was not threatening. Somehow it made the apartment feel warmer, lighter. Even his own worries seemed smaller in the quiet. As he lay down, Tom thought about the odd turn his evening had taken. An elderly alien, lost and tired, had come to his door in the middle of a storm, and he had let her in. It made no logical sense. Yet, somehow, it felt right. Outside, the storm raged on, but inside the apartment a small light glowed softly. Mira slept peacefully on the cot, her breathing calm and even. Lily's small form was curled up on the sofa, and Tom felt a strange sense of hope. Perhaps this unexpected visitor was more than just a stranger. Perhaps she was a sign that even in a world full of struggles, kindness and curiosity could bring unexpected wonders. And for the first time in many months, Tom felt a flicker of excitement about tomorrow, wondering what a new day with Mira in his life might bring. The morning sunlight poured through the apartment window, casting warm golden rays across the small living room. Tom stretched and yawned, feeling a quiet sense of peace that had been missing from his life for months. The storm had passed long ago, and the streets outside were busy with the usual hustle of the city. Yet inside the apartment things felt different. There was a calm energy, a sense of quiet harmony that had not existed before. Mira had been awake for some time, quietly tending to the plants on the windowsill. Her delicate hands moved with care, brushing the leaves as if speaking to them in a silent language. Tom watched her for a moment, fascinated by the way she seemed to notice every detail, every subtle change in the environment. It was not just her hands that were gentle, but her attention, her awareness that made everything feel alive. Lily came bounding into the room, her hair slightly messy from sleep, but her eyes bright. "Good morning, Mira," she said excitedly. "Did you sleep well?" Mira smiled softly, her glowing eyes reflecting warmth and kindness. "I slept peacefully." "Thank you for asking," Lily giggled. "You always sound so calm." "How do you do that?" Mira looked at her thoughtfully. "I have learned to listen to the world around me. Even small things have life and rhythm. Humans can do this too, though they often forget." Tom couldn't help but smile at the conversation. Mira's words were simple, yet they carried a wisdom that made him pause and think. Perhaps there was more to life than the constant struggle to survive, more than the endless chores and bills. Perhaps in the quiet moments there was a chance to notice, to learn, and to grow. After breakfast, Mira invited Lily to sit with her on the living room floor. She held a small object glowing faintly in her hand. It was smooth, round, and seemed to hum softly with energy. "This is a focus stone," Mira explained. "It is not magic, but it can help you pay attention and calm your mind. Would you like to try it?" Lily's eyes widened with curiosity.
"Yes, please."
Mira guided Lily's hands to hold the stone gently. "Close your eyes and breathe slowly. Imagine the energy of the stone moving through your body. Feel it calm your thoughts." Lily followed the instructions, her small chest rising and falling with slow breaths. After a few minutes, she opened her eyes and Tom noticed a subtle change. She looked calmer, more confident, and her smile was brighter than usual. "Did it work?" Lily asked excitedly. Mira nodded. "It is not the stone alone, but your willingness to listen and focus. That is the true power." Tom watched this interaction, feeling a mix of awe and gratitude. Mira was teaching Lily not just a tool, but a way to understand herself, to control her thoughts and emotions. It was something he had never learned as a child, and he realized how valuable it was. Over the next few days, Mira continued to share small lessons with Lily. She taught her how to notice patterns in nature, how to observe the behavior of animals, and how to understand the feelings of others by paying close attention. Lily absorbed everything eagerly, asking question after question, her curiosity endless. Tom noticed changes in Lily almost immediately. She became more focused on her schoolwork, more patient with small tasks, and more confident in her interactions with friends. Even her teachers commented on her improved behavior and concentration. Tom felt a swell of pride, mixed with amazement at the alien woman who had entered their lives so quietly, yet had such a profound impact. Mira, however, did not limit her lessons to Lily. She spent time with Tom as well, though in different ways. She asked him questions about his daily routine, his work, and his struggles. She observed him quietly, noting the challenges he faced as a single parent and the ways he managed to provide for his daughter despite exhaustion. "You are stronger than you realize," Mira said one evening, her voice gentle as she sat across from Tom. "You carry many responsibilities, yet you continue without complaint. Humans often underestimate their own strength." Tom shook his head, a small laugh escaping him. "I don't feel strong. I just do what I have to do. I don't really have a choice." Mira's eyes glowed softly. "That is what makes your strength remarkable. You do not seek glory or recognition, yet you endure. That is a rare gift." Tom felt a warmth in his chest. Mira's words were not just praise. They were an observation of something deeper, something he had never considered. Perhaps his struggles, his persistence were valuable in ways he had never realized. One afternoon, Mira asked Tom to join her outside for a short walk. The city streets were lively with people, cars, and the sounds of everyday life. Mira's eyes scanned everything with careful attention, noticing small details that most humans overlooked. The patterns of shadows, the way sunlight reflected off glass, the rhythm of footsteps. "Why do you notice all these things?" Tom asked, curious. "Because everything has meaning," Mira replied. "Even the smallest detail can tell a story. Humans often walk past wonders without seeing them, but you, Tom, have the ability to notice. You care for your world. That is extraordinary." Tom looked around, seeing the city through Mira's eyes. He noticed small acts of kindness, a man helping an elderly woman cross the street, a child giving a flower to a friend, a street musician sharing music freely. Suddenly the world felt alive in a way he had forgotten. "You're right," he said softly. "I never noticed these things before." Mira smiled. "You are learning. That is what makes humans special. Your strength is not just in what you endure, but in what you see and care about. That is what makes you remarkable." The days passed in a rhythm that felt both ordinary and extraordinary. Mira, Lily, and Tom formed a quiet family of sorts. They shared meals, stories, and small tasks. Mira's presence brought harmony and understanding, helping each of them see the value in themselves and in the world around them. One evening, as the sun dipped below the horizon, Mira invited Tom and Lily to sit with her in the living room. She held a small crystal that glowed softly in the dim light. "This crystal does not give power," she explained, "but it helps to focus energy. It can be used to strengthen the mind and calm the heart. Would you like to try?" Lily eagerly nodded, taking the crystal in her small hands. Tom followed, curious and open to learning. Mira guided them through a simple exercise, teaching them to focus on their breathing, to clear their thoughts, and to imagine positive energy flowing through their bodies. At first, Tom felt skeptical, but as the minutes passed, he noticed a calmness spreading through him. His mind, usually cluttered with worries, felt lighter. Lily's small face reflected the same calmness, her eyes closed and a gentle smile on her lips. When they finished, Mira looked at them both and said softly, "You see? Humans have the ability to change themselves. Even small efforts, when guided by understanding and care, can make a difference. This is what I admire about you." Tom felt a sense of wonder he had not experienced in years. Here was an alien woman far from her home, teaching him and his daughter the value of focus, patience, and understanding. And yet, her lessons were not strange or difficult. They were simple truths, reminders of what humans could achieve when they cared and observed. Over time, Tom began to notice changes in himself as well. He became more attentive to Lily, more patient with his own struggles, and more aware of the small joys in life. Mira's quiet guidance had opened his eyes to a world he had often ignored, helping him see that even ordinary humans could possess extraordinary qualities. One night, as they all sat together, Mira looked at Tom and said, "Your life is not easy, yet you carry it with courage. You face challenges that many would flee from, and yet you endure. That is why I admire humans. You do not need strength in weapons or technology. Your strength is in your hearts, your minds, and your willingness to care." Tom felt tears prick his eyes. He had spent so long feeling invisible, struggling to survive, and yet here was someone recognizing the value in his life. He looked at Mira, then at Lily, and realized that he was not alone. Together they had formed something rare, a connection that transcended worlds, a bond of learning, care, and understanding. And in that quiet moment, Tom understood that Mira's presence was more than a blessing. She was a mirror, showing him the greatness of ordinary humans, the potential that often went unnoticed. Through her eyes, he could see that even the smallest acts of kindness, patience, and care were remarkable. Lily hugged Mira tightly, whispering, "Thank you for teaching us." Mira smiled, her glowing eyes soft. "I am learning too. Humans have much to teach those who watch and listen, and you, Lily, and you, Tom, have shown me the strength of your species. That is a gift I will carry with me." Tom sat back, feeling a calm joy that filled his heart. For the first time in years, he saw his life not as a series of struggles, but as a story of resilience, learning, and quiet heroism. With Mira's guidance, he began to understand that humans truly were remarkable, and that his own small efforts mattered more than he had ever realized. The city had settled into its usual rhythm. The hum of traffic, the distant chatter of neighbors, and the occasional siren filled the air. Inside Tom's small apartment, life continued in a quiet, comforting routine. Mira moved with her usual grace, attending to small tasks, guiding Lily with gentle lessons and sharing quiet moments with Tom. Yet beneath the calm, there was a sense of something shifting, an undercurrent of tension that Tom could not name. It began subtly. One morning, Mira paused while looking out the window, her eyes reflecting concern. "They are watching," she said softly, speaking not aloud but in Tom's mind as she often did. Tom froze. "Watching? Who?" Mira turned to him, her glowing eyes serious. "Others from my world, observers. Some are cautious of humans. Some may not understand your strength or your intentions. They are curious, and curiosity can bring danger if not handled carefully." Tom felt a chill run down his spine. "Danger? What kind of danger?" Mira hesitated, her expression somber. "Not all are your allies. Some believe humans are unpredictable and should be studied, controlled, or even removed. I came alone to observe quietly, but my presence may have drawn attention. I did not wish for harm to come to you or your daughter." Tom's mind raced. His small life, already fragile, suddenly felt threatened in a way he had never imagined. He looked at Lily, who was sitting on the sofa, quietly playing with a small toy. Her innocence and trust struck him deeply, and he knew he had to protect her at all costs. "What do we do?" he asked Mira quietly. Mira thought for a moment. "We prepare, not with weapons or violence, but with careful planning and demonstration of human strength. Your qualities that are rare and valuable. You must show them that humans deserve respect, not control." Tom nodded, determination rising within him. He had always been protective of Lily, but now the stakes were higher. He realized that his ingenuity, his love, and his ability to adapt were more than survival tools. They were his greatest strengths. Over the next few days, Tom, Mira, and Lily worked together in quiet preparation. Mira guided them in subtle exercises to enhance focus, awareness, and cooperation. They practiced observing their surroundings, understanding patterns, and anticipating problems before they happened. For Tom, it was a revelation. He had faced challenges his whole life, but never with such clarity or purpose. One evening, as the sun set, Mira spoke of the observers again. "They will come soon," she said. "They will judge. They will watch how you respond. This is a test, though not one you requested. But humans have qualities that no other species possesses. Your courage, your empathy, your resourcefulness, these will shine if you act with care." Tom felt a mixture of fear and resolve. He knew the threat was real, but he also understood Mira's message. They did not need to fight with weapons. They needed to act with intelligence, compassion, and ingenuity, human strengths that could surprise even the most advanced observers. The next day, subtle signs of the approaching observers began to appear. Shadows moved unnaturally across the walls. Faint glows appeared in the sky, and objects in the apartment seemed to shift slightly when no one was looking. Lily noticed first. "Daddy," she whispered. "Something feels different." Tom looked around, sensing the tension. "I know, but we're ready. We'll be careful." Mira nodded, her presence calm and steady. "Trust in yourselves. Trust in your humanity. That is what they will see." That evening the observers arrived. They were unlike Mira, taller, more angular, and their forms shimmered with a cold, calculated energy. They moved silently, observing everything with sharp, precise attention. Tom felt a surge of fear but reminded himself of Mira's guidance. One of the observers spoke, its voice echoing in Tom's mind. "You have sheltered our kind. Explain your actions. Humans are unpredictable. Why do you protect her?" Tom stepped forward, his voice steady despite the fear in his chest. "She is our guest. She is kind, gentle, and wise. We protect what is good and valuable, and she is all of those things. Humans respect life. That is our way. We do not need weapons or dominance to prove our worth." The observer paused, its glowing eyes scanning Tom and Lily. Mira stood beside them, her presence a quiet shield of calm energy. "Observe," she said softly. "See what humans are capable of without aggression." The observers tested them in subtle ways. A sudden gust of wind tried to scatter their belongings. Objects in the apartment shifted as if under invisible force. But Tom, guided by Mira's lessons, remained calm. He secured the apartment with clever use of furniture, blankets, and simple tools. Lily, under Mira's guidance, moved with surprising confidence, anticipating changes and helping Tom. The observers watched, and Tom realized that their eyes were not just analyzing physical strength. They were assessing intelligence, empathy, and ingenuity. He felt a surge of pride. Humans had always adapted, overcome challenges, and cared for one another in ways other species often did not. This was their true strength. Mira's voice echoed softly in his mind. "You see? Your actions, your thoughts, your care for each other. This is what they respect. Humans have a light that cannot be dimmed by fear or force." Hours passed and the observers remained silent, their glowing forms scanning every corner of the apartment. Tom, Lily, and Mira moved with quiet purpose, demonstrating patience, intelligence, and teamwork. Even small acts like helping Lily stay calm when a sudden sound startled her, or securing fragile items with care, showed the observers the value of human empathy and foresight. Finally, the leader of the observers spoke again. "You demonstrate qualities that are rare: courage, ingenuity, and compassion. Your species has potential beyond expectation. We will report this. Continue your care and no harm will come to your guest." The observers vanished as quietly as they had arrived, leaving a faint shimmer in the air. Tom, Lily, and Mira exhaled deeply, relief washing over them. Tom looked at Mira. "We did it. We protected you. Without weapons, without fighting, just being human." Mira smiled, her glow softening. "Exactly. That is why I admire humans. You do not rely on strength alone. You rely on wisdom, care, and the courage to act rightly. That is your true power." Lily hugged Tom tightly. "Daddy, we were amazing." Tom laughed, feeling the tension melt away. "Yes, we were, and Mira, you helped us see that." That night, as they settled down in the quiet apartment, Tom reflected on what had happened. The threat had been real, but it had also been a lesson. Humans had qualities that were rare and valuable, and even a small family could demonstrate strength beyond what many species could imagine. Mira's presence had not only guided them through the challenge, but had also shown Tom the true value of their daily lives, the courage, care, and ingenuity that often went unnoticed. He realized that human resilience was extraordinary, not because of technology or power, but because of the heart, mind, and willingness to face life with compassion and intelligence. As they all rested that night, the apartment felt warmer, safer, and filled with a quiet pride. Tom, Mira, and Lily had faced a subtle but real threat and had emerged stronger, closer, and more aware of the remarkable nature of humanity. And in that stillness, Tom understood something he had never fully realized before. Being human was a gift, and even the smallest acts of care, love, and intelligence could shine brighter than any weapon, stronger than any force, and more lasting than any challenge. The night sky stretched above the city like a deep velvet blanket sprinkled with stars. The apartment felt quiet, but the calm carried a sense of anticipation. Tom had spent the day preparing, not with weapons or alarms, but with thought, care, and understanding. Mira had guided him, teaching him that strength did not come from force but from ingenuity, patience, and compassion. Tonight would prove that lesson. Lily had already gone to bed, her small frame curled under her blanket, though her mind was full of curiosity and excitement. She trusted her father and Mira completely, believing that together they could face anything. Tom sat in the living room reviewing their plans quietly, while Mira moved gracefully around the apartment, her eyes glowing softly. "They will come," Mira said quietly, her voice echoing in Tom's mind. "Their purpose is to observe. But tonight, they will see what humans are capable of. You do not need to fear them. You need only be yourselves." Tom nodded. "I understand, but it still feels strange. I've never faced beings like this before." Mira's gaze softened. "Humanity has always faced the unknown. You adapt, you care, and you endure. That is what makes you remarkable. Tonight you will show it again." As the hours passed, a faint shimmer appeared outside the window. The observers arrived, their forms glowing with a sharp angular energy. They moved silently, their eyes scanning every detail of the apartment and the street beyond. Tom felt a surge of fear but quickly reminded himself of Mira's guidance. Fear alone was powerless. What mattered was courage, ingenuity, and heart. The leader of the observers spoke, its voice clear in Tom's mind. "You have protected our kind. You have shown kindness. But do you possess the qualities we value? Demonstrate them now." Tom took a deep breath. He glanced at Mira, who gave him a reassuring nod. Then he moved with calm determination. Using blankets, chairs, and small items, he created paths and barriers to protect the apartment from the faint disturbances the observers caused. He moved with precision, anticipating problems and solving them creatively, showing that humans could face challenges without aggression. Lily, awakened by the quiet commotion, watched from her bed. Mira whispered guidance to her, helping her understand the situation without fear. Lily moved carefully, assisting her father by handing tools, arranging items, and maintaining a calm presence. Together they formed a small team, demonstrating cooperation, quick thinking, and care. The observers watched closely, their eyes reflecting analysis and curiosity. They did not speak aloud, but Tom could feel their judgment pressing upon him. He realized that this moment was not about strength in the usual sense, but about showing the power of humanity, kindness, intelligence, and courage in action. At one point, a gust of energy from the observers caused objects to sway and shift in the apartment. Tom reacted instantly, using simple tools and quick thinking to prevent any damage. He guided Lily to a safe corner, keeping her calm, and even managed to move a fragile vase just in time. Mira's presence provided quiet reassurance, her energy a calm shield around them. The leader of the observers spoke again, their voice measured. "Humanity's qualities are subtle. They require observation to understand. Yet we see now courage, ingenuity, empathy, and protection. These are rare. Continue." Tom realized that words were unnecessary. Action spoke louder than any explanation. He continued to act with calm focus, using his mind and heart to guide every decision. Lily followed his lead, confident in her own abilities, and Mira moved alongside them, guiding without interfering. Hours seemed to stretch into a tense eternity, but finally, the observers paused. Their forms shimmered and pulsed with a soft light, and the leader's voice filled Tom's mind once more. "You have demonstrated what we sought to observe. Humans possess qualities unique among the species we know: courage without aggression, ingenuity without malice, and empathy beyond expectation. Your actions have proven your worth." Tom exhaled deeply, a wave of relief washing over him. Lily's small hands clutched his arm, and Mira's glow softened into a warm, comforting light. The tension that had filled the apartment dissipated, replaced by pride, calm, and wonder. The observers began to vanish, leaving behind only a faint shimmer in the air. Tom, Lily, and Mira sat quietly, taking in the enormity of what had just happened. They had faced a subtle but serious test and had emerged not just unscathed, but stronger and more aware of the power of their humanity. Mira spoke softly, her voice filled with warmth. "You see, Tom, this is why I admire humans. You do not rely on force or control. Your strength is in your hearts, your minds, and your care for others. That is a light no one can extinguish." Tom looked at her, gratitude filling his chest. "We couldn't have done it without you. You helped us see what we're capable of." Mira shook her head gently. No, Tom, you did this. I only guided. Humans carry within them the power to face any challenge when they act with courage and care. I have seen your world and I have seen its people. You are remarkable. Lily leaned against Mira, her eyes shining. I think I understand now. Humans can do amazing things even when we're scared, even when things seem impossible. Mira's eyes glowed softly. Exactly, Lily, you must never forget that. Your small acts of care, your courage, and your intelligence are your greatest strengths. They are what make humanity extraordinary. The days that followed were peaceful, filled with quiet reflection and continued growth. Tom noticed subtle changes in himself, in Lily, and in the apartment. The lessons Mira had shared were no longer just exercises, they were ways of living. Tom was more patient, more observant, and more confident in his ability to provide for his daughter. Lily was stronger, calmer, and more self-assured. Mira's presence continued to inspire them, showing that even small actions could have profound effects. One evening, as they sat together watching the city lights, Mira turned to Tom. I must decide soon whether to remain or return to my people. Yet I find that this place, this small family, has taught me much. I have learned the strength of your species, the depth of your hearts, and the quiet heroism in your daily lives. Tom felt a lump in his throat. I hope you stay. We've grown used to having you here. You've changed our lives. Mira smiled, a gentle glow radiating from her. I will stay. For now I choose to remain for you and for Lily. Humanity has much to offer, and I wish to continue learning from you both. Lily jumped up, hugging Mira tightly. Yay, I knew you would stay. We'll have more adventures together. Tom laughed, a deep, relieved laugh. The tension of recent days, the fear of the unknown, had finally lifted. The apartment was warm, safe, and filled with hope. Mira's presence was no longer a source of mystery or worry. It was a source of joy, growth, and connection. The night passed quietly, and for the first time in months, Tom felt a deep sense of peace. He realized that the challenges they had faced, the storm, the arrival of Mira, and the observation of the alien species, had all revealed something extraordinary. Humans, even in ordinary struggles, possessed qualities that could shine brighter than any power, stronger than any force, and more enduring than any obstacle. In the weeks that followed, life settled into a new rhythm. Tom continued his work, but with renewed energy and perspective. He took time to appreciate small moments with Lily, to notice details he had once overlooked, and to celebrate the quiet victories of daily life. Mira shared stories, guidance, and subtle lessons, helping them all see the world with clarity and wonder. Neighbors began to notice subtle changes too. Tom's apartment, once modest and overlooked, now seemed brighter, tidier, and filled with a sense of life. Lily's laughter carried through the halls, and Mira's quiet glow seemed to bring calm and warmth wherever she moved. One evening, as the three of them sat on the balcony watching the stars, Mira spoke softly. I have learned much from you. Humans are extraordinary not because of power or technology, but because of the heart, mind, and spirit that guide their actions. You have shown me the best of your species. Tom smiled, feeling a deep sense of pride. We may be small and life may be hard, but we do what we can. That is all any of us can do. Mira's eyes glowed softly. And that is enough. More than enough. Humanity, in its quiet courage and care, shines brighter than you can imagine. Lily nestled between them, her small hand holding Mira's. I think I understand now. Humans are strong in ways that don't need fighting. We are strong because we care. Tom placed his arm around both of them, feeling a bond that had grown stronger than he could have imagined. Yes, Lily, that's exactly right. And together we can face anything. The stars twinkled above, a reminder that even in a vast and mysterious universe, humanity had its place, a species remarkable not for its power, but for its heart, courage, and ability to shine even in the darkest times. And so, the small family continued stronger, wiser, and more connected than ever. Mira's presence was no longer an anomaly, but a symbol of what could be achieved when humans acted with love, care, and intelligence. The ordinary had become extraordinary, and the quiet strength of humanity had proven itself to be a force beyond measure. Tom, Lily, and Mira sat together into the night, watching the city and the stars, knowing that the best was yet to come. Humanity had shone, and in doing so they had created a small corner of the universe where courage, kindness, and hope would always thrive.